Hi, Paul. Great to see you again. I hope you're well.
Hi, Sharon. Yeah, really good, thanks. Great to see
Excellent.
you as always.
Well, listen, welcome back to the Recruitment Marketing and Sales podcast because I know that you and I have spoken before, and this is a really special episode, isn't it? Because we are celebrating how many years?
10 years. Yeah, 10 years.
10 years of poll card recruitment, which congratulations. It's an achievement with when you think about everything that's been happening, over that period of time to build and grow a business. So listen, today is very much about learning more about your journey, the journey with poll card recruitment, the highs, the lows, the challenges. But maybe what we could do for everybody listening is just go back a step before PCR and just maybe share with the audience, what your background is, how you got into recruitment, and then we'll come and talk about that decision of you setting up PCR. So yeah, so just kick us off with your background.
Yeah, of course. Like most people operating in the recruitment industry, I didn't necessarily set out with a plan of being a recruiter. I went to university. I had actually done some temporary work for some industrial agencies during
Ah,
my last um, summer recess, if you like, of
right.
university.
Hmm.
They secured me a temporary to permanent role in business to business sales. When it came to actually the end of the 3 month contract and that business looking to offer me a permanent job, despite being the best salesman for the first 3 months, they wanted to offer me, I think it was 12,000 versus the 16,000 that I was actually on as a temporary member of staff.
Oh,
So we parted
interesting
company.
strategy.
Yeah. And their justification was, you're not old enough. And I said, but clearly I'm good enough because I've been the best salesman for the last 3 months. And they said, yeah, you can't leave. And I said, well, unless you offer me 16,000 versus the 12 you're prepared to offer, I will. And you know
Mm,
what? We're actually still friends. I occasionally see the guy that no longer sold that business, and he said,
yeah,
yeah. He said we should have kept hold of you. So that then led to going around a few other agencies, walking
right.
to a few recruitment agency doors. Didn't reveal my plan at the time, which was to go off around the world, or at least Australia and wherever else, traveling.
Yeah.
And yeah, was offered a job by Hayes back in
Okay.
2003.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was where the journey started.
Interesting. And did you manage to fit in some traveling?
No, I didn't.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Ironically, and as we've reflected over the last 10 years, over the last kind of few weeks, that story's come up a few times. And there was two major factors. Um, we reached Christmas. There was three of us planning to go traveling. We reached Christmas. None of us realised we'd saved enough money. So we said, well, we'll put it back to the Easter and we'll go at Easter.
Yeah.
And the three people, myself, my best friend from university, and his girlfriend. My best friend and his girlfriend actually were no longer an item. So I said, "That's
Ah,
okay, Dan. The two of us will go. It'll be brilliant.
yeah.
We'll have good fun." Secretly, I was probably quite relieved that it was just going to be me and Dan rather than me being the gooseberry of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
fun. And then there was two reasons we didn't go. Dan then decided to say, "Do you know what, mate? Actually, I think I want to do this whole traveling experience myself." And that was real shock to me.
Right.
And I didn't. I actually wanted to go traveling with somebody
Somebody.
that I knew, somebody I was going to be
Yeah.
friends with for years afterwards, and really reminisce about that journey and the
Mm,
enjoyment of seeing the world with somebody that I was still connected with. The
yeah.
irony is that I no longer see Dan. Which is another a story altogether,
Yeah.
which is a bit of a shame. But also, I realised the fact that when he said he had £8,000 saved and I had 1,500 quid, that he had the money to go travelling and I didn't. So I kind of said, "Look, good luck and enjoy it." But I've always said, because actually one of the first employee that I brought into the business, he had that same itch, and I
Mm,
encouraged him to go and scratch that itch. When he and his girlfriend actually split up, he went travelling, and I said, "Look, that was an opportunity that I didn't capitalize upon because
mm.
as life changes and you get a mortgage and you get married and kids come along, maybe the opportunities of traveling young, free abandonment in those days, I wouldn't say pass you by. And there's always that opportunity that I
No.
might visit Australia in the future. But no, I didn't go traveling.
Yeah. No. And so you developed your career with Hayes then. So
Yeah.
how long were you with Hayes?
Yeah, so I was with Hayes for 9 years.
Right.
A great journey. Loved my time there. Great
Mm,
people, great business. Had some cracking opportunities that were presented to me, from being
mm,
a trainee in their Middlesbrough office to going opening a brand new office in Hartlepool, coming back and taking a bit more responsibility in managing the Middlesbrough team, then running a division across the northeast, a specialist kind of credit management division, which took me to Newcastle, and
right.
working throughout the region. Yeah, I had a great 9 years with Hayes.
And so you're on a great career path there then. So what was it that made you decide to, come off that kind of like, that real career trajectory and decide to set up your own business?
Yeah, it was Jude, who's now 11. So my son
Hmm.
was the inspiration behind doing something different, and he was a really difficult baby. At the time, I spent 5 days a week in Newcastle, and that meant leaving the house at 7 o'clock
Right.
and getting back about 7 p.m.
Hmm.
As any young parents or parents will know, babies don't work to a clock. But
No.
that did unfortunately mean that he was often asleep when I left the house, and he would
Yeah.
often be asleep when I got home. He was a difficult baby and had some challenges with digestion and things, which meant it
Right.
was a really tough maternity leave for my wife Andrea.
Mm.
And it's felt like we were kind of treading the same cycle of, have you managed to get out the house yet by 11 o'clock in the morning? No, I'm still in my pajamas. He's been really difficult. He won't take his
Yeah.
bottle. And I felt I wasn't able to be there as much.
Right.
Hayes were actually really supportive, and I ended up working less in Newcastle and coming closer to home. So
Mm.
I did get a bit more flexibility.
Yeah.
But then my grandma passed away, and my mum kindly gave us a little bit of money that provided an opportunity to pay the bills for 6 months.
Yeah.
Andrea, my wife, was on maternity.
Hmm.
She was just about to drop down to zero pay, um,
Right.
which so it was a bit of a gamble, but we recognised
Uncomfortable.
that because
Mm.
she was on maternity, the
Yeah.
mortgage payment could be paused for 6 months.
Right.
If you fell into financial difficulty, I believe you can take a 3 month mortgage payment holiday.
Mm.
But we were able to take 6 months because Andrew was on maternity.
Right.
We had one of those, if anybody might remember those wonderful 105% Northern Rock Together mortgages, which we took out in 2008.
Back in the
So we were
day.
already, yeah, back in the day. So we were already in negative equity, but that wasn't a problem because the housing market was rising and prices were going
Yeah.
through the roof. So
Mm.
we took out a bit of extra cash to redecorate the house, and then 6 months later, the market crashed, and we were significantly in negative
Right.
equity. So we'd overpaid for years, and got out of that negative equity position. And that 6 month mortgage payment break, we had enough to pay the bills, enough to give me the opportunity to try something different. But we
Mm.
did get plunged back significantly into negative equity. So it was
Right.
interesting.
Yeah. So you made that decision. So, you know, just give us an idea then of, those early few years of what was it like going from working in a very corporate organization to, having your own business.
Yeah, so it was a transitional period. And
Mm.
I recognised that, or I felt I didn't know enough about how business works, runs,
Hmm. Yeah.
from the corporate world. When you are a consultant and a very well trained consultant, but you're really part of the front end delivery machine, I
Mm.
probably hadn't been enough exposed to the operational elements or the commercial elements or the strategy piece that was behind, a large corporate business. So I recognised
Mm.
that in myself, and I felt what I really wanted to do at the time was simply replace an income and get a better work-life balance.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
with Andrea's support, because she said, "Okay, you're going to a role that doesn't have a basic, and I'm on maternity, but we've got some money. Go
Mm.
for it." So
Yeah.
she gave me the confidence and the backing to do it. And actually, that first 9 months, I joined a new business that was setting up a different type of recruitment model where limited company contractors took 70% of their fees and they took 30% of the fees for the
Right.
back office support that they provided.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that was, for me, I thought, I'll go and learn how a small business works, maybe do
Yeah.
it for a couple of years before I actually, pull the banner on kind of Paul Card recruitment.
Yeah.
So
Got
set up
you.
an invoicing vehicle. That's all it was. Went
Mm-hmm.
and joined this brand new business. And after a few months, it became evident that there was only three of us in that business. Two of us were kind of billing consultants and an office manager. And I was the only one that was generating any fees. And after about month 3, month 4, they said, we can't pay your full invoice this month. I said, okay, no problem. They said, we'll clear it next month. And the end of next month came and they said, we can pay the majority of this kind of month's invoice, but we can't pay all of what we owe. And actually, after a few months, they owed me 19,000, which back in the day was, a significant
That's a
chunk
lot
of
of money.
salary.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was really just seeking to replace a salary, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's a significant part of that salary that is now becoming owed.
Mm-hmm.
The two directors that were running, there was a silent partner in the background, and was maybe having some tense conversations. And it was pretty obvious for me that as the only one that was generating any
Any
fees or
business.
revenue for the business,
Yeah.
this was heading one direction. Spoke to a
Mhm.
few clients, that I trusted and confided in them, and it was becoming a bit tense at home. I was like, yeah, I've got this money. They owe me it. But I'll get it.
Mm.
I'll get it. And then kind of, realised one more throw of the dice. We'll set up Paul Card recruitment. We'll give it a go because the
Mm.
decision was: do I go back to being an employee and go
Yeah.
back to the corporate recruitment world? After only having left for 6 months, I was pretty confident that I could walk into most recruitment agencies and secure a job. But I thought one
Yeah.
last throw of the dice. We'll set up Paul Card recruitment and we'll see how that goes. So that was the September of 2004.
Right.
Come the end of the first year of my new limited company, which was December 2004, having set the limited company up in December 03,
Mm.
I got £1,000 on that £19,000 back, and the first year's account showed a bad debt of 18,000 that was written off. So yeah, it was an interesting first 12 months.
That is definitely an interesting first 12 months. Yeah. Um, and having come from the corporate world myself and set up a business, I completely can relate to, and I know a lot of people listening will relate to that, that transition, of running a small business. Suddenly you're not just in one role, are you, which is kind of like your day job, which we were doing in corporate. Suddenly you've got all these multiple roles, and almost to do the bit of the job that you love, which is the recruiting bit, you've got to you've got to do marketing, you've got to then have all the processes in place, the finance, and it's a steep learning curve, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it really is.
And unfortunately, I didn't get that kind of 2-year indoctrination period of understanding how a small recruitment business
No.
works and operates. So it's kind of
Yeah.
learning on the job, bit of networking and bit of
Yeah.
kind of asking people for support, help, guidance,
Mm.
and worked it out along the way.
Yeah. And I mean, so, in those early years then, for you, what were some of the biggest challenges and the insights or the lessons that you got?
Lots. I think the biggest learning was probably reached a period of complacency when the business was just me.
Yeah.
I was and it's interesting. So I now and have done for many years use a part-time finance director,
Mm.
guy who I trust implicitly and knows me incredibly well and the business inside out. And he said you'll never be as profitable as you are in your early days when it's just
Mm.
you.
Yeah.
There are minimal overheads, minimal cost, and there are still some great solopreneurs operating in recruitment that
Absolutely. Yeah.
that will generate significant profit margins.
Mm.
But I learned at that time that if I was ever going to have the work-life balance that I craved,
Yeah.
the business needed to be bigger than me,
Mhm.
and I became a little bit complacent. and said, "Oh well, if I don't, raise another invoice for the next 18 months, I can still live the lifestyle that I want to live," which wasn't a
Right.
lavish lifestyle; it was replacing that initial income, and that complacency bred, something in me that I didn't see or expect, which was just that. It
Mm.
was like, okay, well, we're fine, we're fine, we're fine,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the initial hunger, desire, I wouldn't say went, but yeah, being complacent in the early days, then burning through a lot of cash
Mm.
through some tough times, and then all of a sudden turning around and going, "Wow, do I need to close this business and just go and get another job?"
Mm.
Was a conversation I had with my finance director. There was only
Yeah.
myself and two other people in the business at the time, so it was many years ago. But we
Mm.
burnt through a lot of cash. That was a real eye opener. And with Steve's guidance and support, he said, "No, absolutely not. We can. We've got the pipeline there. We just need to believe in ourselves. We can trade out of this."
Yeah.
But I'm sure many other small business owners have been there.
I'm
Those
sure.
difficult, sticky times,
Mm.
crisis of confidence. And you just need maybe the support or the encouragement of somebody else that sees you can get out of this. And
Yeah.
you just have to sometimes pedal and run a bit faster, a bit harder
Yeah.
at those times to get back on the even keel.
Yeah. Interesting. So it's, over the 10 years, there's been quite some events happening, in that time. So what are some of the highlights, though, of the last 10 years? Because, you are in a very different place today than
Mm,
what you've just shared with us.
yeah. I think building the team has got to
Hmm.
be, for me, the biggest highlight. That's what it's all about. We are a people business, uh,
Mm.
and I enjoy working with people and seeing them succeed, and creating a culture that fosters that team ethos and
Yeah.
collaborative approach, helping people to live their best life as well. It
Mm.
sounds a bit cliched, and we'll maybe come on to talking about the vision, but
Mm.
we're very clear that our vision now. Um, is helping people find happiness at work. And the
Mhm.
second sentence in our vision statement is because happy people build better businesses and lead more fulfilling lives. And I
Mm.
wanted a business that helped people succeed.
Yeah.
It wasn't about me creating an empire and sitting at the top of an ivory tower. It was about everybody succeeding as part of a team. And when we
Mm.
came up with that vision statement, we felt that it was right for us because it was
Yeah.
right for our team, but it was also right for the businesses that we work with
Hmm.
and the individuals that we help find employment.
Yeah.
For me, leaving the corporate world was about getting that balance right. I always say I didn't find work life balance, I found a work life integration. And I think, what does that mean? And for me, it means um, you're rarely off. Your
Yeah.
business is you, and you are your business. But it isn't about being able to down tools and compartmentalize life. It's
Mm.
about accepting that if I go to the Christmas nativity at 10 o'clock on a Friday morning, I might be, picking some emails up on a Sunday night,
Yeah.
or on a Friday evening, and getting
Yeah.
that work life integration is
Mm.
important. So I
And
think that
and
is the biggest success.
and I think that's an important point that you make there, in terms of, being able to do the things that you want to do in the different roles, let's say, that you have, as a dad, as a husband, as a family, um, and and being able to make it all work without the guilt of, well, because I went to the nativity on 10 o'clock on a Friday morning, I need to do a couple of hours of emails on a Sunday night. But just knowing, well, this is kind of like, my life is this complete blend, and it's just choosing to do some of the work things at a different time than other people might do. But that's okay because other people can't get to that nativity, but I can.
Yeah, you're right. But one of the things that we and our team absolutely have is that freedom and flexibility to do
Yeah,
that. One
absolutely.
of the things that was important for us was to develop a proper flexi time policy that allowed,
Mm,
just that flexibility.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, we've managed to develop a team and recruit people that have that mindset. to understand it's give and take.
Mm.
It's a demanding environment, it's a demanding role, but the freedom and the flexibility is given back because
Yeah.
people are prepared to put in that extra discretionary effort when needed.
When needed. And it's great, isn't it? Because actually what you've described there is you living that vision that you've got internally in the business as much as you are then projecting that externally to, to clients and to candidates.
Yeah, I think we always had that culture. I'll
Mm,
be honest enough to say it wasn't always well communicated in that vision. But when
right.
we were able to do that, that was really helpful.
It kind of like joined it all together.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so what would you say then, having shared, some of the, the ups and downs of those early few years, what would you say has been the turning point, of the trajectory, yeah, that you are now on? I don't know if I pronounced that right, but hey, let's go with it.
I think actually revealing the bigger plan
Right.
and being confident enough to share that vision with
Hmm.
people
Yeah.
was a real turning point.
Hmm.
You and I had a session at one of your great marketing retreats, and you put me in the hot seat and used your
I think I
wonderful
might have asked
skills.
you to volunteer.
You did, you did. Yeah, but I knew what was coming. I
Right.
thought it was an opportunity for me to dig deep and look in those dark corners of your soul and actually realize what is important to you.
Mm,
And yeah, that was a transformational moment when we were working to a 5-year plan, and we were
mm,
sorry, I'll rephrase that. I was working to a 5-year plan. We
right.
were a year into that,
Yeah.
but I didn't have the confidence to share that with the team. And that session that you and I did
Mm,
really enabled me to say, that's what I need to do. This is a decision I'm going to make, and put a plan in place to do that.
right.
So before we revealed the financial plan
Yeah.
and the structure and the people and the process that would get us towards that,
Mm,
people might be familiar with BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal,
yeah.
and help be our north star and where are we heading to. And we came together as a team, and about 2 years ago now, and we redefined our vision. So we
Hmm.
did have a vision and a mission and some values, but we felt they weren't necessarily the business that had evolved. So
Right.
we came together to create
Revisited that.
that vision statement
Yeah.
of helping people find happiness, redefined our mission, redefined our values. And we knew that would be the glue that would hold us together as a team and would guide
Mm,
us as we continue to grow and develop. And then, when we had that structure in place, I then revealed, this is where we're heading to, and you are
yeah.
part of something bigger than where we are right now.
Mm,
And was able to show the team what I felt the organisation needed to look like in terms of the number of people and the structure and the career opportunities that would present.
mm,
I
hmm.
think that was for me was, and I hope for the business was transformational. It
Yeah.
felt like people understood they were part of something bigger, and we
Mm,
we had a nice lifestyle business, but we were aiming for something that was just a little bit bigger,
yeah.
not significant,
Hmm.
but it was probably a transformational point in the business.
Yeah. And I don't know whether I'd kind of like just forgotten that bit, but I don't know if I remembered that you were already into that 5-year plan. You just haven't shared it.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, I can imagine, because when I guess just speaking generally here, but when we as individuals, when we voice a big goal, we're really putting it out there, aren't we? And so, it raises us, I suppose, to, we have to step up as individuals, and, for you as a leader. So, I mean, having taken that bold step, then, put the structure in place, communicated those big goals. Um, how has it been for you, as a leader, in a small business? How have you found that?
it's a challenge. It's a rewarding challenge.
Mm,
But for me, I'm quite a detailed person, and sometimes I struggle to to create the vision
Mm.
and to create the big plans. And I suppose that might be one of the things that I'm reasonable at in terms of being aware of where I might need support,
Yeah.
and working with external advisors has been really helpful for me.
Mm.
I mentioned obviously Steve, our part-time FD.
Mm.
Steve's worked with me along the journey and helped me create that 5-year plan. So we had, as you
Mm.
might expect from a finance director, the structure of a business plan from a point of view of revenue, sales, profit, heads.
Mm.
What we didn't necessarily have then was how that would translate into those 5 years, and
Mhm.
commercially, what was the right strategy, what was the balance of our business, where would we head, what would we do different, and rather
Yeah.
than just assuming that the plan was just straightforward growth and
Just
just
more of the
following that.
same, so to speak. Yeah.
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 So a year ago, we engaged with another board level advisor, Miles. So we've been working with Miles on creating that commercial strategy and taking those
Mm.
steps that will allow us to hit the big goal.
The big goal.
Mm.
And so, so I suppose, in the early 5 years, quite an up and down journey. You're 3 years now, I think, aren't you, into your 5-year plan? You're 10 years into PCR,
Mm-hmm.
with this fabulous anniversary. What about the next 10? How excited are you, and what's kind of like, what might that hold?
Yeah, tremendously excited. Yeah, we are, achieving those milestones. This year has been a tough 12 months.
Hmm.
The macro environmental factors have slowed those plans a little. Cost of living crisis, business confidence it's been a
Mm.
challenge. What does the next 10 years hold? 10 years' time? I can't answer that question right now. I absolutely know what the next 2 and 3 years hold
Yeah.
and where we'll be, and as do the team.
Hmm.
So we're on that journey. We have, as part of our realignment, new commercial strategy, put in a new management team.
Hmm.
Sorry, it's not quite the right description. Created a management team
Right.
with the support of our existing staff. That's
Hmm.
been transformational for the business this year.
Hmm.
And yeah, the next 10 years, where might we be? Probably in a very different place, just like the last 10 years. But we'll enjoy the journey.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, and I mean, how are you celebrating? This milestone achievement, because I know
Yeah,
there's been lots going on, hasn't there?
there has been lots going on, and yeah, we did a few things. We celebrated with the team. We're pretty good at celebrating success here. Yeah,
You
and
are actually, and that's one thing that I think you guys do really well. And I think that is another example actually of the culture that you've got in your business. Um, and also, let's say my observation, working with you for the last few years, is that you do a lot of internal celebrating, but actually there's a lot that you do outside the business with
yeah.
some of the charity work and stuff that you do. I don't know if you just want to say a little bit
Yeah,
about.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I suppose how did we celebrate the 10 years? We celebrated that with clients,
Hmm.
new and old, hopefully soon to be clients, but clients we work with at that 10-year period. So we had a barbecue. Most people that know me might know I like a bit of golf. Golf club's a great venue just down the road, great parking, easy access, and nice food. So we decided to hold a barbecue in September. That was the month of our 10-year celebrations.
Hmm.
We had around about 100 people join us, so that was wonderful. It was a really nice evening, relaxed, informal, social event. Again, the team encouraged me to show a bit more of the journey, and handed me a microphone, and hopefully I didn't bore people too much, but shared a little bit of what has got us to where we are today.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was really nice celebrations.
Yeah, excellent. I mean, just thinking back to, the next 10 years and everything, because, gosh, when we think about the last few years, with nobody would have anticipated COVID. We had
Mm.
that amazing bounce back in the market. Then we've had, as you say, all the macro environment and the consequences of different geopolitical things that are going on and everything else. So it's not easy to predict what the next 10 years are like, is it? But I guess as an owner, if we throw into what, because we can't control what's happening politically, really, but there's also in our industry, a lot happening, has happened, and will continue to happen with technology. I mean, as an owner, I mean, how do you keep yourself, as up to date as you can with what's happening in the market, and the evolution of technology and how that's influencing our industry and how you operate?
Yeah, I think being well read is fundamental.
Mm,
Being well networked is key to learning. So
mm,
I think it's that desire to learn,
mm,
acquire knowledge, which we do some behavioural profiling for clients, and I've had it done to me, so I know that's part of my fundamental foundations is that desire to acquire knowledge and apply
mm.
that knowledge. So for me, that
Yeah,
comes very naturally.
yeah.
But it is about having a strong network for me. So we're
Hmm.
members of team, the Employment Agencies Movement. We're also members of the REC, and on a weekly basis, I am part of a group of business owners that we call our PEG group, kind of peer enhancement group. That is, amongst other things, an accountability group, making sure that you're
Hmm.
taking positive steps forward on your actions and weekly commitments. But that's obviously
Yeah,
an opportunity to learn how other businesses are thriving,
yeah.
and what are they embracing and what's changing in their markets. And that
Mm,
includes a guy who runs an accountancy and finance business in Australia, an exec headhunting business based in the north of England that operates globally, and some other businesses that are similar sized and UK based. So,
yeah,
yeah. Uh, for me, keeping abreast of developments in our industry is the wider bodies and ultimately, I suppose, the providers of services, of products that might change your business, uh,
mm,
and having that network of other business owners, which was a revelation, I think, again. I think when you are part of the corporate world, you probably believe that your competitors are just that they are competitors, and you shouldn't talk to them. But when you realise, as a small business, there are far more opportunities to collaborate and help each other than you
yeah,
recognised before was really good for me, and that's
yeah,
something that I continue to do. I'll always look out for opportunities of where I can help and introduce other people and help people along that journey. And yeah, there's been a few former colleagues that I've informally mentored as they've set up their recruitment businesses, and given them the confidence to go out on their own,
to go
and
for it.
also share the
Yeah,
successes. But I suppose to
yeah.
answer that question, for me, it's about learning and constantly being aware of what is changing, what's happening, and how that can help. Yeah,
Yeah. And it
business.
sounds like, learning from being open to learning from others, as well as, books and webinars and,
Mm.
mentors and everything else. Sometimes it's great to learn from, our peers who are doing what we're doing, sometimes in different markets and, and international markets. And, we can always learn from each other, can't we?
Yeah, yeah,
And I guess just on that point of learning, if you could look back over these first 10 years of Paul Card recruitment and, give yourself, your younger self, a little bit of advice, I'm always intrigued to know what that bit of advice will be
yeah.
when I do these kind of interviews.
For me, having a plan and
Hmm.
understanding what success looks like.
Mm.
Success doesn't always mean, a seven-figure, eight-figure business, multiple locations across multiple countries.
Mm.
Success is what is important to you.
Yeah.
I wasn't clear enough on that in the early days. I
Hmm.
am very clear.
Yeah.
We, in addition to that, 5-year plan, we have annual goal setting sessions as part of our team, as part of
Mm.
our kind of performance appraisal system, and everybody shares those openly. You
Hmm.
mentioned earlier about communicating your goal makes it much more real,
Yeah.
and that constant focus on what success looks like. So I have a constant kind of 3 months, 6 months, 12 months goals. And as most people might know me, my hair's a bit of an important task on a morning. So when I'm stood there, actually, I've got a mirror inside my wardrobe door, but I've also got that one-page plan
Oh,
and
fantastic.
visual representations of what success looks like and means for
Yeah.
me. And I think the more that you repeat that and understand that and have clarity on that, your mind is focused on what you want to achieve.
Absolutely.
But was one of my friends who has a business that is an engineering design consultancy. He was, he had a few members of staff. The business had fell on tough times. And he said to me recently, he said something that you said to me, Cardi, as he calls me. He said, "Is are you happy?" And I think at the time he wasn't. And then he realised what was going to make him happy. And I said, no amount of money bought any amount of time or any amount of happiness. What makes you happy? And he said, one or two things. And that was actually wasn't building a business. It was about him having a bit of freedom and flexibility to work when he wanted to work, to play golf when he wants to play golf, to be able to support his family and, to the level and means that he wants to do,
Yeah.
but not actually chasing lots of work, not working 18 hours a day, getting the balance right. And, can he hold himself accountable to what happiness looks like? And I said, and probably relates to the first point I made, in terms of having a plan, for me, plan should be simple. It should be able to be articulated on one page, but it should be specific. One of the things that we are very clear in our team is what success looks like, and with working with SMART goals. So, in the early days, I didn't have a plan. I didn't know what success looked like, and therefore I could never reflect at any point and say, "Am I achieving what I set out to achieve? And am I happy?"
Yeah.
So, yeah, if I look back on 10 years ago, that might have been helpful for me.
And I think something I guess that you've described without using a particular word in a way, as I was listening to you, that I guess kind of like, probably just worth just checking with you is that word why. Why? What is it that I want? What is important to me? But why do I want it? It's like, well, you can have that financial goal that you were talking about, with yourself and with your buddy, but actually that wasn't quite, going to make either of you happy because you'd got the balance that you wanted, and your friend, wanted other things. So it's knowing what your why behind what you want as well, I guess. I mean, is that something that you would, I know you can see you nodding your head there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's okay for that to change. It's okay for that
Yeah.
to be different.
Yeah.
When we're in the early days, and my why still remains the same. It is about providing the best life I can for my family. And that early inspiration of it being Jude is now Jude and Olivia, and of course, Andrea. But in the early days, what was important to me before Jude started school was taking every Thursday afternoon off and spending that with him. And having some quality dad time. Of
Yeah.
course, as they then go into full-time school, you can no longer do that. So that's okay for your goals to change. But
Yeah.
understanding what, in the next 12 months will make you happy and what you're setting out to achieve, is important.
Fantastic. Great. So how would people get in touch, learn more about Paul Card Recruitment?
Visit our website, paulcardrecruitment.co.uk. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll pick up the phone, have a chat. I do enjoy talking to people, learning about people. Always happy to share, the successes and challenges that we've enjoyed over the years. So, whether that's a client, a candidate, another recruitment business, I'm an open book, and always happy to help people.
Fantastic. And here's to the next 5, and then the next 5 beyond that. So so again, congratulations, Paul, and thanks for taking time to share some of those stories, because I didn't know some of those stories, and I know you and I have had plenty of chats over the last few years. So thanks for being so open and honest about that as well. I'm sure people will have got some real great insights and some good lessons that they can take away, as they are in the early years of their business and beyond as well. So good to talk to you, and looking forward to seeing you soon.
See you soon. Thanks, Sharon.
You're welcome.
Bye.